The Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the Elements.
Oh, on the Elements. Mr. Instro is here 29 minutes ago before we hit 7 o'clock. It is time for us to get into the Producer Spotlight. I sing every week for the Producer Spotlight just to annoy everybody in studio, but also to make Mr. Instro feel very welcome, because I don't just sing for everybody. What's poppin', Mr. Instro?
I feel very welcome.
You feel very welcome. You don't look like you particularly enjoyed that.
I didn't, but that's a story for another day.
No, what's your beef? Let's get it out of the way. What's your beef? What's your story?
It's just a peach, like if you can just pitch yourself down just to see when you say Mr. Instro is here. See that note there, that last one there. That's where the situation gets tricky.
I hate it here.
But I'm welcome. I feel welcome. I understand the intention. It's the thought that
counts. Ne? One of these days you're gonna come in here and you're gonna expect me to sing for you, and then I'm just gonna kill everything and be like, "What's up? You nice?
Don't be a party pooper."
All right, you're here now, so let's talk about it.
You're not allowed to do that.
How you feeling today, Mr. Instro?
I feel great. Doing this thing in the evening, it gives me a lot of time to look at these things that we're discussing, and it becomes even more interesting to me, the life of a music producer and what they actually get up to. So right. I'm excited to share some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. And yeah, I actually want people to actually talk to me as well and let me know their thoughts about these episodes that we're doing. Right.
All right. So basically, Mr. Instro wants to be a superstar now. Mr. Instro wants to be
no.
Mr. Instro wants to be a superstar. Mr. Instro wants you to
I don't want to be a gatekeeper. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't want to be the voice of whatever's happening. I just want us to have like a community feel. He
wants to collaborate. Okay, so a fancy way of Mr. Instro saying that he wants to be a superstar. He wants you to see him in the stream and be like, "Oh my God, it's you. This is what you should talk about next time." And if you don't get to see him on the streets, catch him on the social media streets at Mr._Instro. Let him know what you're enjoying, what more you'd like to hear, who you'd like us to spotlight, and the kinds of questions and conversations that you would like us to have. Yeah. Now, Mr. Instro, before we officially get into the producer that we're spotlighting today, yesterday on the show, we took 30 minutes out. I think it was the last 30 minutes of the show, and we played strictly Makwa music, just based on the really, for me, scary posts and things that he was putting out on Instagram. Yeah. And today it took a life of its own. PH Raw X putting out his own video speaking on it as well, and then we saw the hashtag Protect the Producer rising throughout the day. Right. What do you think? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about it?
I think it's actually quite sad, and as a producer it's relatable as well, where you find yourself frustrated because of the time that you put in when you work on the music, right? You'll find that, man, there's the creative people act like the creative process is easy, like all you do is just tap buttons and then everything is fine, and then we are releasing, and then we're celebrities and we have money, and it doesn't work that way. There are two things that I want people to really take from what Makwa is saying, right? The first thing is that our market as the music industry, I'm specifically talking about the South African music industry, right? It's still, you might argue, but it's still small. And when I'm talking about small, I'm talking about the amount of money it generates to itself, right? As far as the big major labels are concerned, a lot of the music that makes money in this country is actually international music. And that international music, those royalties, all of that it makes goes out the country. Right. Do you understand? So there's a very big, I guess, void for us, for our industry. And you're making it even smaller when you're talking hip hop. You know, you're making it even more smaller. So I understand his frustrations because our checks don't match the amount of work that we do.
Right.
You know, I could be doing more than what, you know, your international producers are doing. But because I am situated in a location that has a market value that doesn't match the other side, it makes no difference how much work I put in, you know. And the second thing is PH is right. PH is absolutely right. Artists, even today, they don't protect their producers.
Right.
You know, they leave them vulnerable, which is why I've always, from the beginning of this segment, I always encouraged producers to branch out.
Yes, you have.
You know, to be more than what a producer is, particularly us here in this country. I think we have such a big talent. You know, we're gifted and we can do more than what we actually think we can do.
True. So
it's important for us to explore those options. If you're playing an instrument, I was actually discussing it with my brother this morning that I love Mike Dean because he gets a front row seat in what happens to his music. So he plays an instrument and sees exactly what happens to the songs that he produces. So when he goes back to the studio, he knows, or he has an idea of the kind of feel that he goes for. So I would suggest the same, you know, for us. Let's put ourselves in positions where we will know what's dope and be able to produce it. Me, for instance, I'm at a radio station, right? I listen to music from the time I step in to the time I leave.
Yep.
Which tells you that I've got a good idea, not just even a hip hop idea, but a general music idea of what's dope and what people are gravitating towards. And that's important. Branch out, guys, branch out. Don't rely just on the skill of production. You know, no doubt, like, it's sad that we can't just be producers. You know, it's a sad reality, but it's true. And I think artists need to make a bigger effort to include their producers in what they do. Last year, I had a small campaign about crediting producers on the artwork.
I remember this. I saw that.
Yeah. So those small things, very small things, but those things have a big impact when you're talking about brand value.
Yes.
You know, I could have a Rashid K single, you know, a Stogie T single, you know, and if my name is on that artwork, people are gonna look for me.
True.
Do you understand? People, especially when we're talking in the client space. I'm a producer. My clients are artists.
Yes.
So when they see that a specific song was produced by this guy, then my chances of getting more work are much higher.
That's true, and I think the same can be said. I think especially in this internet age that we're in, right? Even if you look at, because what I love about the producer spotlight, and every time you sit here with me, is that we speak about things that start off in the production space, but there's always something that you can take away and apply it to other things. So even if you're looking at simple things like on social media, one thing that I'm super pedantic about, and I know that Moosli is also very good at this, and someone mentioned it about Moosli, and then we started to see people kind of changing, but just the simple thing of crediting your photographer.
There you go.
When you post your really amazing pictures and your amazing videos, also crediting the videographer, because I know that through having done that, there are gigs that some people that I've worked with before have gotten as a result of people going, oh, that dope thing was done by so and so. And I think that there's no harm, it doesn't do you any harm by crediting the person who assisted in your greatness, because the truth is you can never truly be great on your own. So why not give that credit where it is due? All right, so we kick things off by speaking about hashtag protect the producer. We're going to take a short musical break, and then we're going to officially get into the official producer spotlight for this evening. But we couldn't have a producer's show and not talk about protect the producer.
The Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the element.